Welcome to a short reflection by Sebastian Mahfood on Canto XII of Dante's Purgatorio. The poets leave Odorisi, in body at least, since Dante confesses that his thoughts were still bent double in contrition, and continue on the path to find scenes carved into the pavement of the dangers of excessive pride. This is the Rein of Pride, and it's telling that the scenes would be etched upon the ground. Not exactly in the diorama that Gustave Doré makes it appear in the background image to this set of slides, but more like a set of photographs that someone has spilled onto the floor. Virgil then points out 13 scenes of the consequences of hubris, the first being Lucifer's fall from heaven, the next Briareus's lightning-struck body, another is Nimrod, following his being confounded by God, and Arachne, half-turned to spider for losing a challenge to Minerva. The slaughtered remnants of Holofernes and the ashes of Troy bring up the final panels, and it is over these that the proud creep, bearing their appropriate weight, so that they might study them as they clamber over them. Since they can no longer see the whip of pride, we have the sense that the whip merely induces the souls to accept their penance, while it's the futility of resistance demonstrated in the rein that completes it. The angel who meets the poets at the end of their inspection of these scenes wipes the first P from Dante's forehead before he shows them the path up the rock face to the second cornice. He encourages them by saying that the stars are near and now the way is easy up the mountainside. And sure enough, it is. Dante notes the difference in that he can climb without a sense of weariness, and Virgil points out the loss of the weight of the first P. Dante, who didn't notice that the angel had removed it, feels his forehead to confirm, but as he'll soon reveal to Sepia on the next ledge, he still fears spending some meaningful growth time with people like Odorisi. The greater thing he notes, though, isn't at all the difference between the climbs to the first and second cornice, but the difference between the trails of purgatory and those of hell. For beatitude rings out at each pass. Blessed are the poor in spirit, filling the path with joyous song, instead of savage wails. In the Apocalypse of Paul, otherwise known as the Vision of Paul, St. Paul is purported to have written an extended version of the vision he announced in 2 Corinthians 12, a version that contains a story about the treatment of the proud in the afterlife. The story, which was popular in the Middle Ages and served as a resource for Dante, begins in this way. I indeed, entering the gates, saw trees great and very high before the doors of the city of Christ, having no fruit but leaves only. And I saw a few men scattered in the midst of the trees, and they lamented greatly when they saw anyone enter the city. And I saw and wept with them, and I asked the angel and said, Sire, who are these who are not admitted to enter into the city of Christ? And he said to me, These are they who zealously abstained day and night and fast, but they had a proud heart above other men, glorifying and praising themselves and doing nothing for their neighbors. And I said, What then, sir? Did their pride prevent them from entering the city of Christ? And the angel answered and said unto me, Pride is the root of all evils. Are they better than the Son of God, who came to the Jews with such humility? And I asked and said, For what cause were they admitted to the doors of the city? The angel answered and said unto me, Because of the great goodness of God, and because there is the entry of his holy men entering into this city. For this cause they are left in this place. But when Christ the King Eternal enters with his saints, as he enters, just men must pray for these, and then they may enter the city along with them. But yet none of them is able to have assurance, such as they have who humbled themselves, serving the Lord God all their lives. End quote. The poor in spirit, the humble, easily enter into the city of Christ, but the proud are too laden with their own self-image, and it simply won't fit through the gates. So they wait, and they yearn, yet they hope. That's purgatory, a state of expiation, of shaking off the dross that weighs us down, of readying ourselves to step into the presence of Christ. We should start now if we haven't already, and align ourselves with the least among us, so that we may know them as also created in the image and likeness of Christ, as also having an immortal soul, and an eternal destiny, and a share with us in the beatific vision, which will come into more quickly if we can set aside the gravity with which we're otherwise wont to accoutre ourselves.